Another way to get our head around dashboards versus scorecards is to take a look at common dashboards we're aware of. So an interesting factoid is there's as much technology in your cars today as there were in the Apollo spaceships that went to the moon. Now what's interesting is you can manage your car with 2 or 3 dials, whereas the Apollo spaceships required quite a few. Why is that? Well, there's a couple of reasons. Probably most significant is risk. If your car breaks down on the way to work, you just have to call CAA, and they'll drag your car off to the dealership. But if the spaceship breaks down on the way to the moon, there are serious problems. Also, with the spaceship, you need to take not only the garage with you, but all your navigational tools and everything else you might need on the trip. Whereas for the car, you can always ask for directions. There's all sorts of data outside the capsule, road signs, and so forth. Now, the other thing that's interesting is if we put you into the Apollo spaceship or the space shuttle, you wouldn't have a clue as to how to read that dashboard. But if we put you into, for example, a new rental car, it would take you mere nanoseconds before you put the key in the ignition to drive away. Why is that? Well, you're a process expert. You've been trained on how to drive an automobile, and so not much training is needed for you when you take a look at the dashboard. But because you have not been trained as an astronaut, there's no way you can understand the complexity of that dashboard. Likewise, if we plunked an astronaut into the space shuttle, they'd have no problems understanding that dashboard because they spent 10 years learning it. So here are the differences. We understand that a traditional dashboard presents only the technical aspects of the vehicle. So for example, it doesn't tell you anything about why you're there. Are you in the car to have a scenic tour or to find the lowest cost trip or the fastest trip? It doesn't tell you about what journey you're on. Are you on a journey of discovery or going for the groceries? It doesn't tell you about what are your priorities for this trip, nor what is the contribution of tangible and intangible assets, the training, the building of customer relationships, and so forth. It doesn't tell you what performance you need from the human capital and so forth associated with a car. It doesn't tell you what your role is. It doesn't tell you for the driver or the navigator. You have to bring all this stuff with you when you sit in front of that dashboard. And it doesn't tell you anything about the actual performance that you're doing against your overall journey's goals. So those are sort of the traditional aspects of a dashboard. And it's not a problem in the car because you bring with you all that mission, vision, value stuff and so on. What we need as we take a look at a scorecard is a tool that first off presents all aspects of the organization, including what is the journey we're on, what is our mission, what does success for this organization look like, what are our priorities, what's more important than whatever else, what are your roles and accountabilities in contributing to that strategy, what is the contribution of tangible and intangible assets towards your success. What's the performance that we're expecting from all aspects of the business? What are the roles of the processes and projects, and how do they link to the overall success? And of course, what's our performance against target, and what sort of analysis and diagnostic tools can we bring to bear? So a very different series of expectations around a scorecard. Now, none of this is a rule. These are just guidelines, but the compare and contrast is huge. Effectively, a dashboard, you need to be a process expert and you bring everything else with you. In a strategy scorecard, we tell you strategies and priorities and how things link, and you merely need to interpret the performance to understand how you're achieving those objectives.